I'm not sure whether it's been the lockdowns that we've been having here in New Zealand and just the stress of work and not knowing what's going to happen, but things are seeming pretty good now. However, I've been feeling a little bit stale and struggling to get into the kind of creative mood when I've been shooting weddings. I took a bit of a drastic approach. I mean, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you'll understand what I mean by drastic, but I had been using the 24mm G Master for the last 2 years, since I think I had it a week before it was even released, and it's been my main go-to lens. 85 to 90% of my photos on a wedding day would be with the 24mm G Master. It's kind of what I'm known for, and you know, I've developed my own style around the 24mm lens. So I decided I would go ahead and pick up a 35mm G Master, and I also picked up an A7 Mark IV with my own money. And I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it after shooting, I don't know, 10-15 weddings with this so far. Now before we get into it, all the photos you're going to see are edited with my preset pack as per normal. There's something going out to all the people that have purchased my preset pack probably next week, so there'll be a little treat for you guys in there. There's something new coming up. If you want to check them out, go and check my website here. There's a link in the description if you want to download them and support the channel. Let's get into it. So this isn't going to be so much a review on each of these because I've done that. However, I'm going to be doing an A7 IV setup video this week, hopefully, to go over all the settings that, you know, I've been changing around. So let's talk about the 35mm. And the first thing I noticed was how narrow it is compared to 24. It's such a big difference, and I really wasn't expecting it to, you know, it's different when you're in an actual wedding situation and you're actually working and you're so used to something, and then you switch and it's just totally different. So I found that I had to step back quite a bit for a lot of the photos that I would usually do to get that look that I'm known for a wide angle. But you know, by the time I was halfway through the first wedding day, I was really used to it and I was getting in the flow and I was just loving it. The next thing I noticed was the depth compression is really nice, and I don't have to be as careful. So if I'm up close to a couple in a 24mm, I have to be really careful of where I place them in the frame as to not get any warping on their heads or arms or anything like that. And a 35mm, it doesn't really happen anywhere near as much, so it's a lot easier to shoot with. So I think it would suit more people that, you know, if you're getting into it, wedding photography or portrait photography, I probably wouldn't jump straight into 24mm. But you know, if you're brave enough to do it, then just go for gold. Next thing I noticed with the 35mm is it's definitely superior to my 24mm in terms of optics. So it's sharper in the corners and the edges of the frame. I do like some odd compositions that aren't really popular. Quite often I'm putting the couple right in the bottom or the top of the frame or something like that. And I noticed my 24mm, it's not a bad lens, it's really nice and sharp, but this one definitely is a little bit better. The other thing I noticed was when Sony sent me this 35mm GM to review, the previous copy, it had a little bit of chromatic aberration. It wasn't really bad, but it definitely was there. And this one doesn't have anywhere near as much, so maybe there's a little bit of copy variances, or maybe that was a kind of pre-production model that I had in the review unit. I don't think it was, but you know, there could be some copy variances there. However, yeah, the image quality is just outstanding with this one. I'm just loving it, honestly. It's just tack sharp everywhere, and it pairs really well with the A7 Mark IV. So, what do I really like about the A7 IV? Honestly, I think this is, I mean, you can say this every time they bring out a new camera, but really the A7 IV just encapsulates everything a wedding photographer or portrait photographer would need in a camera, especially if you're doing hybrid shooting. The very first things I noticed with the A7 IV when shooting in a real world situation at a wedding, you know, with my own camera that I'd bought, and it was all set up how I like it, the speed is just insane. Like, I'll show you the formatting speed versus the A7S III. It's just night and day. And that goes for everything, going around the menus, switching from photo to video, the buffer, everything is much, much faster. What that means for real life shooting is I can burst off a whole bunch of photos, and I'm just using UHS 2 cards in each slot. I can burst off a whole bunch of photos in uncompressed RAW, and then almost instantly I can switch over to video mode and just start recording with no delay or having to wait for the camera to write or anything like that. And it goes both ways for photo and video. So that's been a real game changer, where all the previous cameras I had, apart from the A7S III, had a really just a painful buffer. And yeah, it just wasn't ideal for really fast hybrid shooting. If you went in a really fast paced environment, it probably wouldn't be as big of a deal. The other thing with this new body on the A7 IV is because it has the photo and video switch separated from the dials on top, and in the menu system you can choose what settings are saved with each one, and you can have custom functions. So the 1, 2 and 3 dials on the top, technically you have 6 of them now because each one is different for photo and video. As soon as I switch, all my video settings are completely separated from photo. So if I want to, I can use S-Log3 because the colors are so much better in this one that S-Log3 is actually usable now. And yeah, it's just having the controls separated is just fantastic. So again, I'll go over all my settings with the photo and video hybrid setup with this week. So watch out for that video. While we're on subject of the body, the tilt out screen or flip out screen, however you want to call it, I'm not a super fan of it, if I'm totally honest. But I think most people prefer this setup with the flip out screen. I still prefer the tilt screen, but that's just a personal preference, and I'm honestly willing to get used to it. And I am getting used to it pretty quickly, and it's obviously pretty helpful for YouTube videos. I don't have to have my monitor set up now anymore. I can just roll with the camera. However, the screen LCD quality itself and the viewfinder is so much better than the A7 Mark III. I've already talked about that in previous videos. I think this camera paired with the 35mm G Master is a fantastic combo for wedding photography. Honestly, I can shoot almost an entire wedding day with this just one camera and one lens setup. However, I have purchased a few other things, and I'm also going to be doing a video on, what's in my camera bag 2022, because I do have quite a few different products that I've purchased myself, including audio, lenses, camera bodies themselves. I've bought an extra camera body that I'll talk about next week, which is different to all of the bodies I've had so far. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's just a quick get in there, get a video done so I can get the flow back on and start making videos regularly for you guys. If you have any questions about the 35 or the A7 IV, drop a comment below and I'll answer those as soon as possible. And I'll see you guys in the next video in a few days.